Starting over. This is the market update. I'm your host, Bill Noble. I am back. I am okay, and I am back. So, what are we going to talk about? Let me tell you. So, when you have bull markets start like this, I'm going to tell you how things unfold. Here's how it goes. First, everyone buys the junk, right? In 2008, they bought commercial real estate. The first trade, in some ways, not outside Bitcoin, but the first trade is always kind of the wrong trade, okay? Or another way to put it is you get a lot of gratification out of the first trade, but then there's something missing, like the big trade. Another example from 08, they bought commercial real estate. They bought all the stuff that was destroyed. But what they should have been buying was QQQ and tech. So out of the gate, Chainlink, Solana. Solana was a no-brainer. Been saying it for a while about their mobile operating system. So that's coming. That's now consensus, I think, right? Chainlink, I had to go to school. I got it. But what Chainlink can do, so can Ethereum. And we are looking at the possibility of an Ethereum volcano and Bitcoin possibly being done for the year. Don't laugh. The volcano for the rest of this year could be in Ethereum, and I've got the macro set up to prove it. Now, this stream is brought to you by my Patreon. My Patreon. Okay? If you like the charts from the market update, every time I do the market update, I'm going to be posting a PDF of all the charts, plus all kinds of other ideas, almost like Twitter, the market update, a private chat group all at once. So consider looking at that. Now, what we're going to do today is very simple. We're going to do news because we want to know what the media is thinking, because if the media is saying it, it's wrong, right? We're looking for what they're missing. And I've already told you, so you know, okay? Ethereum, okay? Think of Ethereum as Web3, not just Web3, but Web3 and AI. AI is not priced into crypto. Speaking of being priced in, everybody, including me, thought that there was going to be a big event in October. Turned out to be a war. Everybody thought there was going to be a repricing of assets. Okay. So did I. Except the repricing of assets wasn't stocks and bonds down. It was crypto up. And next year, the 2024 trade. So let me be the first person to do the 2024 preview because I could do it in a tweet, right? And I'm going to be developing this more in the private group, is about how the dollar is going to go lower. Crypto is not just speculation. Yeah, I know it's an altcoin party, INJ, Chainlink. You know, we'll do your request. We'll do the full altcoin overtime today. But this is about the dollar, the future of tech, all of it for next year. And they're starting to trade it now. It's not just about the Bitcoin halving. And if you think about it this way, because right now nobody's thinking, right? There's disbelievers and people trying to FOMO in. It's not an environment for thinkers. You have to act. So the good news is I'm going to do the thinking for you, at least on Ethereum. And then we'll just, you know, slice up some news and some charts. Okay. Keep your altcoins that you want me to look at handy, because this is like your crypto happy hour, altcoin overtime, deluxe stream. All right. News. Jay Powell warns Federal Reserve against risk of being misled by inflation. U.S. central banker says he will not hesitate to raise rates again if necessary. Now, let me tell you what this is about right before I give love to all the people who are in the stream. BitBoy Al, Lawn Shark, welcome. Big Rich, Raj, Megan giving some Patreon love. Thank you. She's definitely in there. Reverend Flashback, Steve, Douglas, SJ, SG rather, Robert, Lotmo Crypto, welcome. Cuboid, Willimeter, the whole gang. Bull Runner, Lawn Shark, Richard Barry, Satye from India, Rugby Performance Labs. Welcome, Aiken, and forget about it, the first two guys on the stream. Now, Jerome Powell. Did you hear him? Did you hear what he said about, close the door when they tried to protest him? Jerome kind of bumped up a few notches in my mind when he did that, just FYI. Now, why is Jerome Powell not happy? Well, because as soon as he said, I think we're done tightening, the market went into party mode. This is not what he wants. He doesn't want the market in party mode. Now, he doesn't have a choice in crypto, but he's a little bit grumpy about it. And that's okay, because what happened was there was like a fear trade in bonds. And what we're starting to see, if you look at his face, we're starting to see kind of a Fed like lose their grip, lose control. Politicians, the military situation, the U.S. will not hesitate to raise rates. They can't raise rates. The economy's rolling over, which is why crypto is moving the way. Okay. Next. I like this. The 1-year anniversary of FTX. Long live crypto. Sam Bankman-Fried is gone. Now, let's talk about what the media is talking about. Oh, the media is talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin ETF excitement drives Wall Street giant, the Merc, the CME above Binance. So Legacy is taking over crypto. No wonder everyone's buying Web3. Why? Because Legacy doesn't own that. What goes up in bull markets? What everybody doesn't own, particularly the big players, right? That's why Solana is moving. That's why I think ETH is next. Huge, like massively. The Web3 universe. Chainlink is telling you that. Media, what are they talking about? Now, Michael Saylor's on massive Bitcoin bet. All of a sudden, Michael Saylor is a genius in the media. MicroStrategy has reached its technical target that I had from the diamond bottom. We will discuss that. All the more reason to think that the trade for the rest of this year is probably not Bitcoin. It's not. Bitcoin could hit 70K. Okay, that's true, but that's what the media is writing about. They should be writing about Ethereum. Now, was Ether's Bitcoin beating surge a one-off, or has the tide really turned? Okay, I know this guy, and I'm not surprised that he's writing this article. Okay, this is something with the media that you go with. Someone is actually asking, hey, has the tide turned for ETH, and is ETH better than Bitcoin? At least for a trading and possibly even an investing play. In other words, it's known, but it hasn't been traded. In other words, the Solana mobile idea has been known for a while, but now they're just starting to trade it. Megan brought up gaming. Rudy, what's up? Okay. It's known, but not traded. That's what we're looking for. Even the SEC likes Bitcoin. If the SEC likes Bitcoin, you should go in the opposite direction. Not be bearish Bitcoin, but perhaps find something else. Bitcoin price, last approval period for Bitcoin ETF. These are all separate news articles, by the way. Ether could hit 3,000 as soaring network activity turns token deflationary. What happens if everybody hits the decentralized universe? And here's a question no one's asking. What happens if NFTs and art somehow comes back through gaming? People are not asking these questions. They're not. I mean, they're chasing what's going up, but I don't know if people are asking, hey, what's the really big trade and why? Right? The why. The thinking part is tough when you're in this like disbelief phase, right? In other words, you're just trying to FOMO into whatever's moving. But the reality is you have more time than you think. You know, you're not too late. You're not too early. You're right on time. Yeah, I felt bad. I got sick. I missed a bunch of this. I had a freaking stream queued up on Monday called "This is going to be a November to Remember for Altcoins." I would have been famous. Don't worry about it. Because when I sat down and I put this ETH deck together, it's unbelievable. Now, Celsius. So the good news is they reorganized Celsius. So remember back when everyone thought that they were going to liquidate Celsius's holdings and everything was going to go to zero, and they just reorganized it all in a court, and it's fine a year later. Now you have to start asking yourself 1 year from now, what consensus ideas will there be? What consensus ideas will there be that will get turned on their head? Or what powerful things will change a year from now? Another point about Celsius, very important. When you look at Chainlink, Chainlink turned around and unwound all the declines since I was like recited the prayer of the sheepdog in April of 2022. Chainlink unwound all those losses. Do you realize what would happen to, say, Total 2? You could add $600 billion to Total 2, which is total crypto market cap without Bitcoin. So if all the market did was unwind all the bad stuff from last year, you have ETH at 3,200. Now, if Chainlink can do it, everybody can do it. I understand Chainlink has an interoperability narrative. I get it. I get it. But this is the lesson from equities, right? Markets have leaders. Leaderships can change, but Chainlink has told you two things. One, the bigger the base, the higher in the space. I'll show you the chart in a minute, right? Two, when it goes higher in the space, it unwinds the whole Celsius trade. And if you know this, then you can look at any crypto chart and say, what's next? I like this. JPMorgan adds programmable payments to JPMorgan coin. I like how this is news. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know it's news, it's noteworthy, but it's not the news or the information you need to go forward. Bitcoin ETF will drive institutional adoption in 2024, says Galaxy Digital's Mike Novogratz. Who's Galaxy Digital? Well, everybody watching the stream live knows who he is. He's the CEO. He's the CEO of Galaxy Digital, which is a crypto hedge fund whose stock has barely moved, which is a great way of knowing that no one in legacy believes in this crypto rally yet. Yeah, they bought MicroStrategy. They know about the Bitcoin ETF, but they don't believe it yet. The disbelief stage and the opportunities in things like Galaxy, particularly if ETH and that whole Web3 thing, like Mike going on television and saying the Bitcoin ETF will change everything makes sense as a TV talking point to get the general public interested, because the general public is obviously aware of what's happened with the dollar. Now, what the world may not be aware of is that ETH could be the future of not only the web, but AI as well in the decentralized universe. That has not been traded. And when it does get traded, the value of Mike's hedge fund is going to like 5x. So could ETH. And there are other macro factors. So even Mike may not be talking about the wrong thing. And again, not the right thing. Jack Dorsey makes $44 million from Bitcoin, right? It's the Bitcoin victory lap. Okay. It's the Bitcoin victory lap. Wall Street firms are ramping up efforts to tokenize assets. Yeah, they can't move fast enough, right? One of the things that is happening here is that people are getting left behind, or at least they feel that way. Now, you may wind up getting felt left behind, right? But that's a trick. That's a trick. That takes you off your game. Oh, I missed it. I missed whatever. I mean, if you go back to 2020, if you missed the first pop, it didn't matter. Because you know what wound up happening? It wound up coming all the way back down and crashing, and everyone thought it was going to zero before it mooned for 2 years. Okay, nothing goes straight up, and even if it does, there are opportunities and ideas to get in. The market update is the place to get them. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. Now, this may be one of the most bullish things that I've seen. T. Rowe warns clients will withdraw more than $26 billion in the quarter. Okay. 26 billion. T. Rowe Price, a mutual fund company, basically, 60 stocks, 40 bonds, or managed portfolios in equities. Okay. Some stocks did good. Those were the tech stocks. Everything else, terrible. Bonds, terrible. Everybody out. Right? Where is Gen Z going to put money? Not here. Want to know how many people T. Rowe Price have working on crypto? One. You can look it up on LinkedIn. They have like a head of digital assets, but it's basically one person. Like when these guys have to get caught up, this goes back to this idea about MicroStrategy, Bitcoin miners and stuff like that. When these guys have to get involved, they're going to have to buy companies. They're not going to be able to buy crypto. They're going to have to buy companies. And there are still huge opportunities in those stocks. Like, for example, HUT, all the Bitcoin mining stocks. You got 2 months to hoover these things up. As ETH hopefully smokes higher after the 11/11 correction. You always got to be careful around the 10th or 11th of a month, right? Of extremes, March 9th, the bottom of the stock market, 2008, October 10th, the top of the stock market, 2007, right? 9/11. Always got to watch out for 10 and 11. Always got to watch out. But if you get that price break or that correction, or if the market pauses and ETH, say, can't fall below 2000, like if there's a dip or a gyration, and ETH doesn't go down. In other words, consider this. This is November 10th, Friday night. If ETH is down 2%, and that is the dip in ETH, what does the upside look like? Okay, wrong way. Sorry. Okay, now a brief word on legacy. Ray Dalio has been talking about social disorder. He's been talking about reorganizing society. He's also been talking about a wave of corporate business bankruptcies. Okay. Notice not only is it Sam Bankman-Fried is gone, but so is WeWork. Right. Ironically, everyone thought that there was going to be a commercial real estate crash. There still may be corporate bankruptcies, but think about this for a second. Instead of a crash in legacy, you're getting a reverse crash in crypto. In other words, legacy was supposed to go 1929. Now we're in the middle of a reverse 1929 in crypto. And I don't understand how we can have WeWork and a coming wave of corporate bankruptcies and Jerome Powell threatening to raise rates. Jerome Powell is not raising rates. He's not. Now, the credibility of the United States government is in question. Long-term U.S. bonds are questionable. They had the worst 30-year bond auction of all time. And guess what? Nobody cared. If anything, I swear to God, 6 months, a year, 2 years ago, that would have wrecked crypto. everybody would have been like, oh my God, risk off, sell everything. And what did everybody do? They bought crypto. Now, could there be a geopolitical event that takes crypto by surprise? Oh yeah, probably this weekend, if at all. But again, if ETH doesn't go down, it's ETH for the next wave. It's ETH for the next wave. Now, this, okay, just remember, there's word about Florida that people of a certain belief system now have to like defend themselves and don't feel safe on the streets. This is not in the Middle East. It's Florida. Okay. This is an opinion about what somebody winning the presidency might mean. I'm wondering about the integrity of the election. When you look at what's going on in crypto, you can just see this like, oh my God, I'm so done with you. That's why they're buying anything that they can get their hands on. Like, why did Aave go up? I saw reserve rights mooning. Personally, I think it took Avalanche a little too long to go up because that's an obvious security token play. But the social mood, I talked about the social mood, and this is classic, right? I thought the worsening social mood was going to hurt bonds and stocks and then eventually help crypto. The worsening social mood, just like COVID, has got everybody turning to crypto for hope. Because in 2024, we're going to discover that the dollar is going down, the yen is going up. That's a whole other story, which will be developed gradually. The dollar is going down. The United States is an ungovernable country. It doesn't matter what you believe or what side you're on. There's somebody who believes the opposite of what you do, and they want to punch you in the face. They just do. I mean, I saw some stuff on the internet, and I was like, I'm not happy about this. Social disorder, social mood. Who knew it was bullish for Web3? That's why the market's mooning so hard. In other words, you're watching real time. Okay, I had a theme. I had a theory. I had some charts. I had an idea. There was going to be an event in October. All these things happened, but it didn't. It was completely by surprise that everybody all of a sudden decided to buy everything from the last cycle. Also, before I get into the PowerPoint, you also have to consider that all this bluster from Jerome Powell is just bluster. That somewhere underneath the surface, either the Bank of Japan or the Fed is actually printing. Because something could be wrong either with the war or otherwise. So like COVID was good for crypto. I guess the geopolitical situation and the social disorder means we have to reprice Web3. And you can expect nasty wick dips. We had one. Okay. I like to tell people just before I get into the PowerPoint, sometimes I tell people don't buy the first dip unless you're willing to buy the third dip. Right. Now in ETH, there may be no dip because ETH at 2000, sometimes it feels a little bit too cheap, but we'll see. Okay. So to sum up, first trade out of the gate is always the wrong trade, right? It's not that they buy the totally wrong stuff. They just don't buy the thing that's going to be the gigantic mega parabolic of all time, right? 2008, they should have been buying QQQ and tech and Apple, and nobody was talking about that at the bottom. Nobody. We were trying to figure out what QE was. Okay. Now we're trying to figure out what coins to buy, why crypto's rallying, right? Everyone's talking about this being like the life-changing next cycle. Don't get left behind. That's probably all true, but no, everyone's just chasing and not thinking. So on that note, let's just see here. Let's just see who's here. Okay. Megan's looking at Rio. Okay. Okay. T-Bone is here. Okay. Nostrils saying to the moon. For Polkadot, welcome. Okay. Rudy says it's alt season. Matt wants the Galaxy chart. Dude, don't worry. I definitely have that. Okay. Nostradamus says ETH fees are horrible. Okay. Got it. Got it. Pancakes and peanut butter on the show. Welcome. Welcome to the show. Okay. Now, we got to talk about this PowerPoint. The charts themselves are actually available in Patreon. It's under Unhinged Crypto. That's my umbrella company. This show is brought to you by me. Okay. Now, MicroStrategy. The one thing I got totally right. Yes. Right? Got caught by surprise by everything but this. Right? The giant diamond bottom. Now, guess what? I looked at the chart the other day and I'm like, these guys got pretty close to the 566 target price for the diamond. And I'm like, gee, I know it's going up forever. And if you wanted to hodl this and never touch it, I wouldn't blame you. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time for a little pause in the Bitcoin trade, or maybe they got one more lurch higher. Who knows? But I looked at this and I'm like, I know it's going up forever, but over the next 2 months, this has reached its technical target or will on the next big hoo-ha higher. There may be another idea out there. That's all I'm saying. Like, this is an idea. It's a good idea, but there may be another one out there. Like, look at this. No one wants to buy HUT mining. Can you believe it? We're sitting here at the 62% retracement. And to me, it's a shoulder, head, shoulder. And they can take their sweet time. They can take 2 weeks until Thanksgiving. Bitcoin's probably not going to do anything for 2 weeks, right? Or there's going to be some sort of disturbance, which there can be. Okay, but no one believes this. Like, you look at this, I expected to pull this chart up after being super sick and be like, oh my God, this thing's going to be at $4. No one touched it. Okay, ETH versus Bitcoin. A very simple chart, I think. So, ETH versus Bitcoin, 9 bottom. Okay, you had to hang out for 2 candlesticks for 2 or 3 weeks. Boom. ETH outperforms. 9 bottom, right at the big DeMark support point, right? Drawn off where the last rally took off from. Like, when you look at ETH versus Bitcoin, I mean, we're back to like the middle of last year. We're just, ETH is like, That's how like beat up ETH is relative to Bitcoin. Now, of course, when we get a 9 bottom, you don't want to see a failed rally. So, it would be awful if altcoins just turned around and got absolutely hammered from here. That would be terrible. But I'm not focused on that. I'm focused how undervalued ETH is relative to Bitcoin, and go back to the news. How focused was the media on Bitcoin? The charts are telling you that it's ETH. Right? If there isn't a gigantic decline in crypto in, say, the next 3 days, then you got to look out above in ETH. Now, let's talk about ETH versus Bitcoin on a daily chart. So you had a 13 bottom. I talked about this, right? It chopped, it went up. ETH did better. It chopped around. Then you had the ETH God candle off BlackRock. So let's talk about that. Why do we buy crypto? Do we buy crypto because BlackRock's going to buy crypto, or do we buy crypto because we know crypto is somehow the future of tech and money? Now, BlackRock happens to agree and will take BlackRock over a bear market. But if this corrects itself and you get a 9 top in ETH versus Bitcoin, okay, you'll get a pause. But if there's no like rollover in ETH, if ETH can hold its ground, that's the key, right? ETH holding its ground, I think, above 2040. If ETH can hold its ground after a daily kind of topping signal, that's a sign that this weekly chart is the thing to be looking at. Because this whole underperformance of Ethereum could get unwound. All of it, this whole downtrend. Because again, where did we learn this from? From Chainlink. what was, it's almost like a new joke. What was wound can be unwound. Chainlink goes down. Chainlink is dead. Chainlink is at 20. Boom. Oh, that's how we're going to do it now? Okay, great. Apply this to Ethereum. Apply this to a lot of things. How about total 2? Total 2. Like everyone's looking at total 3. You know, I know that we've had these like unbelievable altcoin breakouts like INJ, KAS. Look, I get it. But can you imagine what could happen if total 2, which is total crypto market cap without Bitcoin, if this is the Chainlink repeat, if this is the Chainlink formation, the bigger the base, the higher in the space, meaning, okay, the longer something sits dead, it goes straight down, sits dead. The longer it sits down here, the more vertical it is when it goes up. The more vertical it is when it goes up, period. Now, I don't have to explain this, okay? I do have to tell you that, you know, if you can find these formations in other places, in coins that have meaningful sector themes, gaming, you know, I can't get enough AGIX, right? Like AI and crypto has not been traded. I'm watching Morales Money for anything that comes out AI related. Seriously. Like, I think it's going to be like Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Ethereum and like DGen. Like, they're going to buy everything from the last cycle first. They're going to go through everything from the last cycle. Okay. And they're going to say, okay, what from the last cycle hasn't broken out yet? That's what everyone's doing. Now, that may work, but what they should be thinking about is like Ethereum and new stuff. Like, that may be where the real money is made in 2024. Right now, everyone's chasing the first trade, which is not the right trade. However, like I said, the bigger the base, the higher in the space. This looks exactly like the ETH chart from 2020 when ETH was at $300 and it sat there dead with me pounding the table on the Sunday live stream going, this cannot stay down here. It's going up. Okay, here's the bigger the base, the higher in the space. The Chainlink edition. Note, this is where the market broke down from in April of last year. This is the miracle of Chainlink. Like, do you realize where this market is if every coin does this and unwinds the Celsius downtrade? Like, you know, the market was going up forever right here. People really thought, like, this rally, if we were talking about Bitcoin, people thought this thing was going up. And I'm like, no, it's not. This guy Celsius is telling everybody everything is okay, and it's not. It's not. Now everybody is like, oh, well, you know, Chainlink went up and I missed it and I'm depressed. Don't do it. Chainlink was a lesson. I missed Chainlink, and you know what? I'm like, good. Now I know what to look for. Okay, let's talk about ETH. This is outside the box. Anybody who wants to see the Galaxy digital chart, don't go anywhere, because I got something fun on that that's better than this. So ETH hasn't done the bigger the base, the higher in the space. It's done what I would call an accumulation cone. It is a not perfect accumulation cone, but it feels like this upward sloping, okay, up, down, but in a cone formation, and then boom. It just goes completely parabolic. This drawing in the corner came from Jesse Livermore, the first technical analysis textbook, which was his trading diary. Jesse Livermore was featured in a book called Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. Okay, in other words, he was like the famous trader of the day. And he would notice that a market would consolidate in an upward sloping cone before it would just take off. Like, look at this over here. I mean, this is like altcoin nirvana. Now, let me ask you this. What does the world look like if ETH acts like this? You may find yourself sitting in like possibly the wrong altcoin when you could sit in something like ETH as ETH revalues itself. In other words, this is a repricing formation. Chainlink repriced itself. Bitcoin repriced itself. Has ETH repriced itself? No. Okay, here is a tactical level, okay, November 10th, 2065. Okay, that's where ETH should have stopped based on hidden pivot analysis. It did not stop there. Now it's coming back and retesting it. Retesting it. So if ETH can hold 2,000, the ETH theme could be intact. Now let's look at Galaxy Digital. Do people believe that crypto is back? I got an email from a text message from somebody said, "Hey, Bill, how's it going? How are you feeling?" I'm like, "Oh, I feel okay. How's crypto doing?" He didn't know how crypto was doing. I was like, "Well, crypto is back." He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, really." Talk to somebody else. I'm like, "Oh, yeah. I'm not going to risk my nest egg in crypto. I can't get involved." Oh, okay. All right. We'll see you in 6 months. Okay. So you think you missed it. And everyone's like, "Oh." People on the out in the normie world, they're like, "So is anything going on in crypto?" Well, a flock of them flew over that time. So if you think you missed it, people, you're watching the right show. Okay. We got to settle down, settle in, buckle up, and really ask ourselves, if this is an accumulation cone in Galaxy Digital, this is a crypto hedge fund that now trades for like $7.50 a share, that has an unfilled gap from May of last year at 13. What is a crypto hedge fund worth if the repricing of all financial assets is going to be done by mooning crypto? Just think about that for a second. In other words, everyone is just figuring out that they don't need a spot Bitcoin ETF because they have MicroStrategy. Okay. So like I said, everybody will do the wrong trade. They will all go buy that when they realize that they probably should buy MicroStrategy instead. That's okay. If they have to reprice Web3 and there's a correction and things like Galaxy Digital or Ethereum don't go down, you also have to just think about it, right? Like, what would make Galaxy Digital go to 13? If Galaxy Digital was at 13, where would Ethereum be? If Galaxy Digital doubles, where's Ethereum? My guess would be 4,000. Why not? Right? I mean, who is expecting ETH to take off the way Solana did? Nobody. Vitalik sold ETH at the bottom, which I'm starting to think is a contrarian indicator. The Ethereum Foundation was selling at 1,600. Sometimes institutions get bearish at the bottom of the stock of that institution. Sometimes. All right, now let's talk about tactical resistance. This is ETHE. It's ETH in the equity market. Here's like your accumulation cone in this. This is the Ethereum Trust. This is the GBTC of Ethereum. Okay, it's got resistance at $17.78. So pretty simple. You're looking for ETH to possibly do a Solana or a Chainlink, then ETHE will break out. Could ETHE correct? Maybe. Yeah. Okay. But if it doesn't, then you know it's going Chainlink, which is going to become a verb. Coinbase. I looked at this Coinbase chart. I was like, oh my God, Coinbase is going to be on the moon. They sold the high in coin. This looks like tax loss selling in Coinbase. People are like, a rally. Let's tax loss sell. Now, of course, I'm sure they have tax losses to take, maybe, but really? You're going to bail out, and Coinbase is sitting near support at 86. So just think about that for a second. The whole market's mooned. Okay. You're having a nervous breakdown because you feel like you missed everything. You missed the whole bull market, and Coinbase is like red candle close to support. Nothing has happened yet in this market. Everybody just bought the stuff that nobody owned, right? So it was like easy peasy for Aave or Reserve Rights or Chainlink or whatever. All that stuff just went up on air because there was no seller. But and it looks like you missed out, but have you? No. Matter of fact, if you look at Coinbase, nothing's happened. Nothing has happened. Like this is like day one. Okay. Let's talk about interest rates. Let's talk about why crypto is mooning. Okay. This is the 5-year note futures contract. ZB for anybody who trades bonds. This is ZF. Okay. When bonds bottom, rates top. You have a 13 bottom in short-term US bonds. Okay. Things are too expensive. I went out and bought food for like a basic 2-person Thanksgiving. I don't know. I found prices shocking. Okay. I have a feeling that sticker shock is going to be an issue at the holidays. Right. The Fed is done. Done. Okay. And now that may not necessarily be a reason for a total party because there could be something wrong out there. It could be something wrong with corporations. It could be something wrong with the country, like with a country like Japan. Again, that's a 2024 theme, but it is one of the reasons why smart money is buying crypto and why BlackRock all of a sudden woke up and said, you know what? I think we want to get involved in Ethereum. I don't know exactly what their thought process is, but I got the macro charts to prove it. I know what they're thinking when they said, oh, you know what? We need to do Ethereum too. Okay. What does Ethereum like? Right? Like what makes it warm and fuzzy? Low rates or no tightening. Ethereum loves lower dollar. It absolutely loves higher precious metals, particularly silver. Now, isn't it funny that because of this horrible bond auction and Jerome Powell getting all grumpy because they rallied the market in his face, everybody sold precious metals and nobody bought ETH. Like the trade of the century seemed to be forgotten about by things we already know about, which is nobody wants to buy U.S. long-term debt. Now, yes, that could create problems later, but do we want to trade on old news or do we want to think about what's going to be news in 6 months? This is very important. So this chart, bonds, short-term bonds, short-term rates topped, short-term bonds bottomed. Dollar has never been able to hold above 106 for very long, going back to 1989. Yes, it was above it for a couple years in 2000, but look what happened when it broke. It went straight down. The longer they try to hold it up here, right? Like the Bank of Japan is printing the yen again. That's why the dollar was upticking. Okay. They're just going to print that yen until they can't print it anymore. And then the yen is going to explode and the dollar is going to collapse. Now, even if that makes no sense to you, the market, the crypto market is going higher because the dollar is going down and everything in technology that's been priced into legacy assets has not been priced into digital crypto assets yet. AI, Web3, metaverse, gaming, all this stuff that they've bought NVIDIA chips for is probably going to wind up occurring even bigger in crypto. Think about it. Like, is Ethereum the next NVIDIA? Like, if I was James Cramer, I would walk out on the stage and say exactly that. Is Ethereum the next NVIDIA? And just let everyone sit there and think for a minute, right? What do you need for AI? Well, you need machines and chips. So you need NVIDIA. Okay, NVIDIA moons. Keep in mind, NVIDIA at one point in its uptrend added more market cap in one day than all of Ethereum was worth at the time. It's like a $250 billion surge in one day in Ethereum's market cap. I'm sorry, in NVIDIA's market cap. Right? Now, if Ethereum is the thing you need for the whole new money, new tech universe, how undervalued is it? Well, ridiculously undervalued, right? Like, what is Chainlink telling you? To think to the absurd, to think that the dollar can go down, okay? Like everyone's panic buying dollars because of the war, right? Oh my God, the world is burning. Buy the dollar. All these people may wind up being trapped up here. We'll see. Okay, this is the dollar versus the yen. This is a monthly chart. Okay, November is an 8. December will be a 9. You'll have a 13 and a 9. The dollar may go up one more time, but the dollar is going down next year. And that is one of the reasons why BlackRock wants not only Bitcoin, but Ethereum, because Ethereum loves the lower dollar. These are the dollar topping charts of all time. Because if you have lower rates, an ungovernable country, corporate bankruptcies, and an alternative to the dollar in crypto, or an alternative to all of fiat, why wouldn't the faster moving thing like crypto just take off early? Just take off early. Why do you think they're buying anything they can get their hands on? Right? They're just like, okay, well, something good's going to happen. Let's buy something. Let's buy, I don't know, reserve rights. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it's going up. Let's buy something. Okay, that's okay. That's what happens in the first stage. But then when you think about it, the thing that you think about, if you figure it out, that's the big trade. That's the mother of all trades. Gold. Wow, the Fed's done tightening and the dollar's going lower. Can't tell by looking at gold. Nobody believes it. Why show the gold chart? Nobody believes gold can go up. Nobody believes the dollar's going down. No one believes it. What happens? Now, BlackRock believes it. BlackRock believes it. That's why they want the Ethereum ETF. This is what these legacy guys are looking at. They didn't go, you know what? I have a gaming coin on my mind. I know gaming coins are great. Megan, all about it. You're right. 100%. But at the Wall Street level, they're going, you know what? This trade has not been done yet. We have missed nothing. Matter of fact, we got to get in on this Ethereum thing before everyone figures it out. Silver. ETH and silver go together. Silver does nothing, gets smacked after Powell barks and the bond auction fails. Meanwhile, if you look at a monthly hidden pivot level, silver is sitting right on support at 22.19. What, just saying, what is going to happen to ETH if silver bounces off this and starts rallying and goes to 36? If silver's at 36 and the dollar's lower, where's ETH? These are the questions you have to start asking yourself. It's the same thing with maybe AI coins, maybe stuff you're picking up with, you know, anything in the sort of micro cap universe. In other words, when ETH really starts rising, right? And people with ETH have purchasing power, what is going to happen in these micro cap coins? That's like the next stage, right? It's Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then it's like micro caps. Last time it was like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then NFTs. This time it could be micro caps. Or, you know, you could have 10 meme coins in the top 50 with billion-dollar market caps. You know, who's talking about that? Nobody. Okay. So thinking about what massively higher ETH would do for the whole ecosystem, and having legacy guys seeing the dollar about the top, metals about the bottom, and they're like, oh my God, we got to buy ETH now. We got to buy ETH now. XRP. I haven't forgotten about it. Matter of fact, I think now is the time to talk about it because I hope Ripple's done selling. Okay, there's this box. Okay, here was this high uptick. Ooh, look, from May of last year. Okay, you have tried, or XRP tried to break out. Okay, here's Ripple selling right over here. So retail gets excited, Ripple sells, and then it pops back out again. Now, if XRP holds 66 cents, this is also another moon candidate because people might start figuring out that speed matters. Why? Because you could have a cyber hack. I got an email. I filled it out. Some company is offering 1 million people free cybersecurity education and testing. I'm like, oh, I'll take a look at that. This is interesting. Everyone's all of a sudden interested in cybersecurity. If everyone's interested in cybersecurity and finance, the ability to move money rapidly, that's XRP. Now, I know Ripple's probably going to wind up not surprising me, but everybody else by probably doing an IPO, right? And then maybe taking the focus off XRP. So XRP would have to do well in spite of the company. But XRP can do that because speed may matter. It just may matter when it comes to new forms of money. Right? If Chainlink can go from 5 to 15 like that, like, can everything else do that? Like, how long would it take for people to figure out that, oh my God, XRP is fast and it should be at $2? Like, how quickly can these trades get done? The market's telling you, right? By rallying the wrong stuff. So when you find the right stuff, you go, oh my God, this is how they can do it. The market is telling you how this bull market is going to start. Everyone's like, oh my God, I missed it. No. Okay. What have you missed in XRP? Nothing. Everybody was FOMOing in up here thinking it was going to $1.50. Now it's back here and no one's talking about XRP, which is why I'm talking about it. Okay. Once upon a time, me and my co-host Toby put together an altcoin portfolio. It was probably like over the summer. Okay. Or late summer, maybe September. Okay. Toby personally was a big fan of Solana from way back when it was at 10. We picked HBAR Algorand, which I would have noted on Monday was working on the third green candle in a row for the first time in a long time. Polkadot, Near, which probably has done nothing. Zcash, no one's talking about privacy. Is anyone talking about privacy? You know, it's kind of funny that Morales Money listed the Joe coin as a privacy coin. It's kind of interesting. No one's talking about privacy. No one. Everyone's talking about the Bitcoin ETF. No one is talking about the Bitcoin complex, like Litecoin and usable crypto money. Nobody is talking about these things. Socioeconomics and the social mood. It's pretty simple. The worse the social mood gets, I'm starting to think the better it is for crypto. Where crypto people can't get too stupid is they can't get too euphoric, okay, so that they start chasing the wrong things. Like if I had to chase something right now, I would say I'm going to bet Ethereum's going to stay above 2,000 and I'll chase Ethereum. And if I get smoked, well, then I get smoked. I know BlackRock is underneath me and the dollar is going lower. So Ethereum is going to come back, meaning I'm willing to buy the first dip because I'd also be willing to buy the third dip. You have to ask yourself that every time you FOMO into something. You may have to FOMO in, but frequently you don't because the best trades are sitting there. You're just not looking at them yet, or they're not being talked about yet in the media because everybody is too busy talking about the wrong trade. Okay. So if you think you missed it, you didn't. You absolutely didn't. Hold the Door is here. Welcome. Yes, a mention for HBAR. Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's another theory in this market where you just buy what everyone hates. You know what I'm saying? Like, if no one likes HBAR, HBAR might go up. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on in the market right now. Okay, so predictably on 11/11, everybody is selling, right? Not shocking, right? So Solana down 3%, ETH back at 2040. Okay, so people got a little bit too excited today. Everything was up 20%. I think the chart that I would want to go over is I'm looking at Avalanche, right? And here we are. We got back to where we were in May. And I don't know. This, even though I know this is a security token play, I don't know that I want to run face first into Avalanche at that level, right? Like this is like, oh my God, I missed it. Like this was the, oh my God, I missed it candle. And it could have been a top. It could have been a blow off top, right? Now you got 13 signals everywhere on daily charts, right? So there's the 13 top in Solana. Okay. So Solana got itself from 40 to 65. Okay. Great filibuster with the super chat. Brother, we appreciate that. We appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Okay. Going to Bitcoin. Again, 13 top. Okay. 13 top. 13 top. Okay. Everyone's talking about the same thing. Now, in ETH, the 13 top hasn't occurred yet, kind of a downturn after like a 12 signal. But again, look at this, right? I haven't looked at ETH monthly. So if you look at ETH monthly, right, November is just starting to turn the trend around. Like this to me looked terrible. These little DeMark numbers, 4, 5, 6, 7. Blah. I was like, oh my God, this is awful. And then all of a sudden, boom, off to the races. Look at this blue sky here. Does this look like blue sky? This was the 13 top. This was the prayer of the sheepdog. This was get out. This is where we're going back to. This is 3,500, by the way. 3,500. It's like, why not? Rudy with the super chat. Appreciate that. Okay. Crypto Billy talking about Polkadot. Let's bring it up. Boy, can you believe this traded as low as $3? I mean, this, I swear to God, this could have been the biggest give up trade in the history of crypto. Seriously. I mean, there was a big give up trade in Bitcoin in 2018 from 6,000 to 3,000. But, you know, when they were selling Polkadot below 4 like this into a DeMark point, and then this is just all green. Like there's no sign of a 13 top in Polkadot on the daily chart. Like you could have 7 more up days. Like whatever Solana did, like when you start seeing these things where something can move 25% in one day, that's almost like what you got to ask yourself. Like what thing has the potential to move 25%? Well, it would be something that doesn't have a DeMark 13 top in the way. That's how I would do it. And then you just let this 1111 crash or whatever's going to happen, not crash, correction. Okay. Polkadot, right? So Polkadot at 5.5 has got a big DeMark point. But again, this 1, 2, 3, this is like the beginning on Polkadot weekly. There's like nothing. Megan's like, I'm holding and I'm never selling. No problem. No problem. Right. You know, the only thing you have to remember is the last time there was a rally led by Chainlink back in 2020, the correction was violent. We haven't talked about violent corrections because we kind of had that like wick down, like here's render. Okay. So render on a weekly chart did 2 things at once. One, it did a 9 top and it probably did the ensuing like, you know, counter trade. So it goes up, hits the 9 top, then it's supposed to kind of puke a little, but it looks like they did it all at once. Meaning render may have done whatever dip. This may be the dip. Like render is a market leader. Render was never down. It's never down. This could have been the dip in render. Now, so if you're hodling this, my attitude on stuff like this is make them force you out. Like you're just going to have to experiment. Like if you're holding something and you could buy a dip and make money, like every time render goes, you know, render goes down, you buy a dip, you make money. You buy a dip, you make money. As long as that's happening, leave it. Leave it. Okay. How bad are violent wicks down? Okay, well, you know, uh, here's what happens. First, you have wicks down. And then the next time you have a down move, everybody assumes it'll be a wick. Everyone buys, and then it'll keep going and stop the whole world out. Bull markets can be just as difficult to trade as bear markets. This is why I'm encouraging thought about ETH by talking about things that no one wants to talk about, like interest rates, gold, silver, and the dollar. Think about why BlackRock all of a sudden wanted Ethereum. And then you can start looking at every altcoin you want, right? I want to make sure I get everybody's altcoin. Okay. Maybe Band-Aid hits $2 super chat for DGen. We are going to do. Okay. Chris is asking what the micro cap was that I did in my Patreon. Okay. Well, I'll be nice this time. It was Web AI. That was the symbol. Okay, basically somehow using Telegram to change or to make industrial-sized business websites. I just thought it was interesting, and I thought the chart was interesting. No one's currently trading that stuff because everybody's too busy chasing the stuff from the last cycle, right? Like I'm trying not to hate. I'm not hating on anything, but I mean, look at the nature of the move, right? Aave goes from 50 to 105 in a month and a half. Right now, again, that's a pretty big bang. You know, Aave has been making a base for a long time. The one thing that I was really interested in that I understand has been dead. Somebody brought this up, that synthetics has been dead for like 800 days. Like anything in derivatives trading, and I'm really interested to see if synthetics with a 13 and a 9 top actually holds up. I'm not really interested in the coins from the last cycle, but people are chasing them. Now, something like synthetics, one of those plays is going to be an epically powerful move, but that will probably be driven by ETH, right? Everyone's looking for everything but ETH. Seriously, right? Oh, KAS, right? I know KAS has been flying. Let's definitely, whoop, that's not the right KAS. Okay. Okay. I don't know why I can't get KAS on DeMark. Okay, let's do it here. Okay. All right. So this was the mother of all breakouts, right? And everybody feels like they missed out. And they didn't. God. Okay. All right. I'm going to see if I can pull this up on DeMark. I mean, we're already at a point. Right. All right. I'm going to try something else. So basically what you're watching me doing now is stumbling around, figuring out how to chart something. Everyone's like, Bill, can you do a chart course? I could, but sometimes I think people may want to watch somebody figure it out. So this is price discovery mode. And let's try some hidden pivot analysis. So Caspa theoretically should have stopped at 7 cents and it went to 0.098, which means you may not be shocked if it pulls back to 0.07. That's one way to look at it. Okay, I'll do more work on Caspa. I know INJ was also smoking. Okay, so here's INJ, 13 top, goes to the stop loss point, like the blow off top level, It doesn't feel like it wants to stop. Let's look at the weekly chart. Okay. Thing is about INJ, it's a DeMark on a weekly chart. It's a 7. You know, you can have 2 more weeks, theoretically. Okay. Daily chart is definitely overbaked. Okay. In other words, when people say it'll never correct in our lifetime, that's when it usually corrects. But you also have to ask yourself, if the market is in a mood to have coins go up 25% and then drop, right? This is the thing they do in the bull market. They suck you in and then they drop you. And then you lose money. And then you're like, well, maybe this isn't a bull market. The whole story changes, right? If you lose money, it's not a bull market anymore. That's how you feel in your head. And I don't want that. I don't want that. That's why I'm sort of encouraging ETH, because yeah, ETH could go down, but ETH comes back. And if BlackRock is underneath ETH, ETH may not go down, and this other stuff may get kind of smacked. Let's look at ETH on like a 240-minute chart. Okay, wait, somebody is here. WNXM. Oh, I don't know. Let me see if I got that. WNXM. I have it. Okay. WNXM. Okay. So a classic study, right? You get the 13 top. It doesn't go down. You get the monster blow off top. You get a 9 top. And then it just quietly rolls over with this DeMark warning signal here. So, you know, when you go from 32 to 44, that's a pretty good move. Okay. When you get a 9 top, you get a dip. Now, the question is it a one-day dip? I mean, 11/11 is going to be a dip. I mean, it's just the 11th, and people got stupid today, right? They weren't thinking. They were just like, oh my God, I have to chase whatever hasn't gone up. I mean, that's okay if like you're doing day trading, but that's not okay if you're trying to figure out what the reason is behind crypto and what the big trade out there really could be. In research, you get paid for imagination. In research, you get paid for imagination. This includes any research that you do. Yes, Crypto Billy is noticing that INJ is just smoking, right? And I don't see any sign that it stops. You could have 2 weeks of that, right? Okay, Williams has a massively contrarian idea that Bitcoin could wind up at 13K. Okay, so I'm going to try to pull up this. Somebody is asking me to look at LYX. I'm going to try to pull that up, and then we can talk about whether or not this being a massive crypto top is something worth talking about. Because I do know that there are people probably trying to talk about it. I think you would have to have like a geopolitical or possible nuclear event in order to get Bitcoin, like in order to get Bitcoin down, because, you know, it can always go down. Okay. You would have to have a problem with the internet itself. So in LYX, support is at 6. Okay. The upside target could be 7.3. Okay. 6 must hold for it to continue. Okay. Okay. Somebody says they got early ETH vibes. Steve J says Dash is testing the 200-day moving average. Oh my God. I love these things. Richard Barry. Oh my God. With the super chat. You guys are warming my heart tonight. Okay. BCH. Man, nobody is talking about this kind of stuff. This future of money stuff. God. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And maybe a Band-Aid says people are FOMOing into FTT. Right. They're FOMOing into FTT and they're not trading ETH. Okay. Bitcoin Cash has resistance at 250. is coming off kind of like you would expect Bitcoin to. Okay. Bigger picture in Bitcoin Cash. This is a 9 top on a weekly. So what do you get when you get a 9 top? Well, you usually get a flush in the other direction. And then if people buy that dip, then it just indiscriminately moves. Indiscriminately moves. I mean, that's, I don't know if I have another example. Yeah, here's the example, right? So there's tons of examples, right? Here's a 9 top in January of 2021. Yet this is a weekly, remember. You had 3 down weeks. And then eventually this just, took itself to 1800. Now, it didn't take itself to 1800 in 1 week. But, again, when you're back here with Bitcoin Cash, if you get a dip and they buy the dip, in other words, if you can buy the dip and make money in Bitcoin Cash, then Bitcoin Cash should go on a 13-week rampage. Now, could this dip be nasty? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just don't doubt that. But, Bitcoin probably isn't going to go down much. And if it does, you'll be lucky to get it. Honestly, I don't think Bitcoin is going to do much. Bitcoin may actually get hit. So if you can buy the dip in Bitcoin Cash and make money, you could be looking at 13 up weeks. Of course, naturally, the market will make the dip challenging, either because there won't be one or because it will be violent. There is a geopolitical situation out there that I continue to believe is way more serious than anyone's talking about. If the U.S. has to print $2 trillion to get involved, things can change. But it's altcoin overtime. It's Friday night. Okay, Dash. No one wants to talk about it. I would love to talk about it. Okay, on a weekly chart, you got 3 green candles in a row. Now, the last time you had 3 green candles in a row, it was a disaster. I'll take anything that's not a disaster. 3 green candles in a row, if you can just be stable, it's a win for Dash or any of these things in the Bitcoin complex. Any of these things, right? No one is talking about using money, using crypto as money. Nobody. Okay. So you got a lot of resistance in Dash at 32 and people are backing off. Now, one other thing with the bull market, Willimeter to super chat. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Lever. Okay. I'm going to try lever one more time. No dice. Okay. Want to give you guys some love. Huh. Okay, so the daily chart, I don't know what this is. I hopefully I got the right symbol, but correct me if I'm wrong, but this kind of does look like the bigger the base, the higher in the space, right? Straight down base. Oh, what's wrong with me? I didn't give Rudy any love on Jasmine. The last time we talked about Jasmine, I think my net conclusion was leave it. Not getting a cooperation from the DeMark software tonight. Okay, we're back. Okay, let's get a 4-hour chart of Jasmine. Okay, the first thing you note is that you got the 13 top. It didn't top, okay, or it went down and it came straight back. Now, this at a tactical level looks very frothy, right? However, look at what this is doing. See these dotted lines? This capped Jasmine for a long time. These dotted lines on this DeMark chart, they're drawn automatically. So the high from back in June was what capped Jasmine. Then, of course, it broke out and it took out this DeMark line as well. That is 0.0051. So Jasmine could dip if you can buy a dip. In other words, if this is a breakout, it should make a return move to whatever was holding it back. And if you just draw, I think this is also like the new thing, right? Like the horizontal line is going to be like the most useful thing in crypto. Like find wherever something was in April of 2022 and draw a line across. Okay. Like in April of 2022, Jasmy was where? 7 cents. See this like vertical drop here? Okay. Is there any reason why that vertical drop cannot be unwound? Do you have to know anything about Jasmy? Like Chainlink is a coin from 2 cycles ago, and it unwound its entire decline in 3 weeks, less. So can Jasmy do that? Yeah, especially if it holds support. Because think about how long Jasmy was basing. This is the bigger the base, the higher into space. This is exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for anything that's basing, that's sitting right below the top of the base. Because if they hit the market and it doesn't back off, then it's going to go through. Okay? It's going to go through. Somebody's mentioning Blur. Okay, not sure I got good liquidity. I got good charts on Blur. Okay, let me try something else. Okay, so this is Blur on Coinbase. Okay, so again, looks like you missed it. Looks like you should give up and never trade crypto. It's over. Not really. Okay, this is the base. This is like the rounding bottom. Okay, now you got the 9 top. So what do we know about 9 tops? Well, you normally get some sort of violent counter trend move, which is why you could get a nasty dip, or who knows? Let's go back and look at the market. Maybe this is the nasty dip. You know, I mean, if Solana down 3% is the nasty dip, you can wait. I don't think you can just let the 11th of the month go, right? If 3% is a nasty dip or 2% is a nasty dip, you know, ETH is the trade for the next cycle. You know, and anybody who's like FOMOing into Bitcoin or just trying to buy what's up 25% is not getting the point. Is not getting the point. Okay. Okay. Somebody wants to do Solana. Okay, let's do Solana. Let's do all things Solana. Okay, Solana daily chart. 13 top. Okay. That means we're guaranteed to get at least 1 down day. At least. Okay. Now, this on the 4-hour chart, right? You have a 13 top, you have a 9 top. Okay. And then they just blow through everything. Okay. So if they're gonna scare everyone in Solana, they're gonna take it back down below 52, maybe to 48. This is the other thing you have to start asking yourself in bull markets. When they try to scare you out, will you get scared out? Like everyone's like, oh, you know, oh, ETH didn't go up today. I'm not going to touch it. No, you should be staring at the 90-minute chart of ETH, which I haven't looked at, which I will look at now. Okay. So right now, this, you know, obviously is correcting. All right. I'd like to see to stay above 2000. Maybe they got to take it down to 1982. Just let them correct this. And then on any short-term tactical chart, you're looking for any sign of a bottom in ETH. Okay. Because everybody just FOMO'd in to all the wrong stuff. Okay. All the wrong stuff. Okay. Megan asking about render. I have no problem doing it again. Okay. We can do the tactical look on render. So when you look at render, it stopped up here at $2.45. You know, the only not good news about render is that it actually has been outperforming, right? So render participated in this rally, but it didn't moon because it's been outperforming. Now let's think about this for a second, right? So render is at resistance, right? And this was a very big thing back in 2021, right? It stopped here, it stopped here, it stopped there, okay? And everybody knows this. Guess what? It hasn't backed off, right? There's going to be a correction on the 11th of the month, right? It's going to get hit. But what if it doesn't back off, right? In other words, the trick back in 2021, right? Like you don't buy Avalanche up 15% when it runs into resistance, right? Like this idea of buying resistance, this doesn't make any sense. But when you go over to render, right? You say to yourself, okay, well, you know, they've been banging on this $2.50 level. You know, they kind of sucked everybody in here. They sucked them in again. They sucked them in 3 times, and everybody's afraid of $2.50 now. So what happens if it just sits there and it doesn't back off? Okay. Everybody who was afraid is all of a sudden going to get very unafraid if it starts to go through there. This is how you have to start thinking about like resistance. Like it's up 20% and I missed it, but I'm going to buy it because whatever. Don't do that. Okay. But if you start thinking like, hey, this has been outperforming, it hasn't been up 25% yet. Look what they did here. Look at how they washed everybody out. This was at the DeMark point. I don't even know if this print's any good. So there are lessons about how to look at the market. Okay. So thoughts on Sadiyama? Am I seeing this right? Steve J says RLC is getting ready. Okay, here's a daily chart of RLC. Okay. Yeah, man, it is. Right? It's like a rounding bottom inside of a giant base. Right? I mean, yeah, there's resistance here, but with all resistance points, does it back off? It'll come off, but doesn't come back. Rudy asking about A0. Wow. Okay. So that's a rather robust chase. It didn't get to a 13 top. It didn't get there. Okay. Interesting that the Celsius top was $1.53. Okay. And everybody in this base, okay, amazingly, like right there. Okay. In other words, this was the previous 4th wave. In other words, this was an extended give up trade in A0. Okay. Super chat from Hold the Door. Okay. I don't know if I take it down to $1.02 and it holds, then it's on. It's on. Okay. Yeah, man. I'm a big fan of H-bar. So's Toby, by the way. Big fan. No sign of a 13 top here, folks. We looked at something else, Polkadot earlier. Maybe all of Megan's coins haven't mooned yet. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay. There's no sign of a 13 top in H-bar. None. I mean, yeah, it's at resistance. Everything's at resistance. H-bar has brutalized anybody that's tried to buy it above 6.5 cents. Okay. There's no sign of a 13 top on the 4-hour chart. And again, here's your classic, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 top, counter trend rally, apocalyptic stop hunting exercise, uptrend resumes. I don't think you have to. I don't want to buy anything just from a GAN point of view on 11/11, but this has 7 more up days. And identifying bases and identifying resistances and seeing how things perform at those points. At those points. Okay. In bull markets, people always do the wrong trade as the first trade. The first trade is always the wrong trade. Find the right trade. I think that is very simply Ethereum. Let the market correct. Let the market prove itself. You don't have to buy the market at resistance. You're not supposed to buy the market at resistance. You're supposed to buy the market if it doesn't back off from resistance, particularly if there's a correction. Most importantly, if you feel like you missed it, you haven't. It hasn't even started. Market Update is probably going to come back on a regular basis as a late night show. Don't laugh. Patreon, Unhinged Crypto. Check it out. We will see you next time.